Is the end of tax deed investing upon us? Imagine a world with no property taxes. Well, DeSantis is proposing that in Florida. So that would be a wild thing to sweep the nation if it starts in Florida and spreads across the US. So today, what we're going to do is we are going to react to Valuetainment's video of an amazing breakdown that he does on DeSantis's proposal for getting rid of taxes or property taxes. So we want to look at what does that mean for tax deed investors? Is this possible? Is it not possible? So we'll dive in. It's Dustin Hahn here, and this channel is dedicated to helping you make money with tax deed investing. So when something comes up that's important, we want to put it on our radar. This channel has the most videos on tax lien and deed investing to help you buy property up to 90% below market value and earn sometimes up to 36% interest with tax liens. But if there's no property taxes, there's no tax deed business out there. So let's go ahead and let's react. So we're going to check out Valuetainment's video. This is an amazing video put together, and I definitely admire how good this video is. And as I continue to mature as a YouTuber, this is something I will aspire to make videos this good someday. Let's dive in.
So Governor DeSantis from Florida is proposing something that no other state in America is doing today. No state income taxes, no property taxes. Complete opposite of what Mamdani is proposing in New York City.
So that would basically wipe out tax lien and deed investing. So let's see where this is going to go.
Free buses, free government ran groceries, all these free things that he wants to run. Tax the rich. He's doing the opposite. Mamdani's listening to his younger voters. DeSantis maybe is listening to his older voters, Florida boomers. There's a big debate on Twitter with DeSantis. You just want to protect your boomer billionaires and millionaires. And
so far, it seems that New York is probably going to have taxes for a while. So we can keep New York as a tax deed safe haven. So far in this video.
No, that's not true. Back and forth. Is it a good idea to get rid of $61 billion revenue you're getting from property taxes? Is this even possible? Who's it going to hurt? Who does it benefit? We're going to talk about that today.
So the interesting thing here is that, tax deed investing has been around for over 200 years. It's one of the oldest systems around. It goes way back to, thousands of years of kings and queens collecting their tax dollars. So this system is very entrenched, and there is a lot of infrastructure built around taxes. So this is a pretty big one to propose.
Okay, so if you're wondering why is this guy hanging on to all these notes, if you want, this is all the research from what we're going to cover today. If you want this, hang around at the end. I'm going to tell you how to get all these notes. Okay, so let's go through it. Roughly $61 billion, 2024 revenue came from property taxes. Of that $61 billion, 18 to 20 billion was homestead. People who live here. Non-homestead was $40 billion to $43 billion, 64% of people who don't live here. These are people that own a vacation home. It's Florida. It's a beautiful place. They want to come here during the winter. All of that, right? Now, look at this here. The $61 billion.
So when you're tax deed investing, a term that often comes up is homestead exemption. So for example, Texas is a tax deed state with a 6-month redemption period. However, people who basically apply for a homestead exemption, maybe they've lived there for a long time, there's a 2-year redemption on those. So he's referring to here, homestead being people that live there. But in the world of tax deed investing, there's the term homestead exemption to always keep in mind, because we generally don't like to buy those in redemption period states because the redemption period is much longer. For example, Texas is 2 years.
And we wanted to find out where that money is spent. 50 to 60% of it funds school district funding. 18 to 19% is county revenue, 17% is municipal, and the last 10% is special district, water management, different projects that they work on. So now, what is the biggest concern with this if he decides to eliminate property taxes? One, raising taxes in other places. You know what? If you take the money.
So Florida's a unique place because it does both tax liens and tax deeds. It's one of the only places that does that. For example, one of the big benefits of tax lien investing is if the tax lien doesn't redeem, you can foreclose and get the property. However, in Florida, if the tax lien doesn't redeem, it then rolls over into a tax deed sale where you have to go bid on it there. So Florida is already really optimized to maximize the amount of money they get from property taxes, because in a sense, they're double dipping. Most places either do a lien or a deed auction. Florida does both. So they're already, pretty tall order.
Money, 61 billion from this place, you're gonna have to get that money from another place. How are you gonna fund all these different things that you have? And he said multiple times, DeSantis himself has said, he does not want to raise sales taxes, which you'll see what sales taxes will look like if he has to do that, because sales taxes right now in Florida is 6% plus some local surtaxes. If they eliminate this, some are saying sales taxes may have to go all the way up to 11 to 12%, will be the highest in America. He says, nope, we're not gonna be touching that. Okay, so then what are we gonna do? State transfers. Is the federal government gonna step in and wanting to help out Florida?
So the interesting thing is if they get rid of the property taxes, like this isn't just a tweak. This would be, ripping out a core funding source from the state. And that's huge. This is a huge truth. You think about all of the services tied into your tax dollars, like this is a pretty big initiative being proposed and definitely getting some headlines.
Florida? Is Florida going to go to other states for help? Who knows? Number 3, spending cuts. You're going to have to cut different places, other fundings that you have. Number 4, people are saying this mainly benefits boomers and the rich. Like for instance, Tampa Bay. If in Tampa, you own a family home, your annual taxes, roughly property taxes, $67.50. In Miami Beach condo, $93.75. But in Naples luxury home, you're spending $18,750 on property tax. If we eliminate this, who's it really helping? And the challenge we have right now in America with affordability, is it for the people that are the boomers and the rich, or is it the younger families just got married, 30 years old, husband and wife want to have kids, want to buy a house, they can't afford to do so? Do you want to tailor to them so they show up to you, or do you want to tailor to the rich? That's the criticism and the back and forth that they're doing right now.
So another big thing here is, local governments, this is going to be such a hard one, right? Because every county is a little bit different and, the local governments have infrastructure, and I honestly don't see all the local governments agreeing to give up their budgets, right? You look at all of the small counties in Florida, it's like, okay, you have the entire infrastructure around the local government, the taxes, the people, all the government workers get paid from this, the fire trucks, the school. This is massive because every single county is like its own little kingdom. So to roll something out like this is pretty wild, especially when he's saying that, taxes won't be raised. But like, honestly, the math isn't, it's not quite mathing here as far as how they could pull this off. Like, sure, raise tourism taxes, higher commercial property taxes perhaps, or an entry fee for new residents, which could be very legally shaky as well. This is, in my opinion, it's feeling like a bold headline grabber with good intentions perhaps. I think Florida's a great state, and I'm just trying to have an opinion here as a tax deed investor, and I know many of you guys watching invest in Florida, so this has been brought up to me a few times.
With the debate, which is totally fine, but again, keep in mind, if they do this, this will be the only state that's no income taxes, as well as no property taxes. Let me continue. So now, on this side, if we go through it in regards to the concern, watch this. Possible benefits. Number 1, so his idea. If they do this, who do you attract? You increase migration from other high states, such as who? New York is possibly about to have a massive amount of people that are going to leave New York. It could be coming here. This is good. We want people to want to come here and not want to pay property taxes. Number 2, encourage capital inflows and new development. People are saying, wait a minute, you're not going to be saying, come to Florida. You're not going to pay property taxes. Let's go build. Let's go to Florida and build. This is a good place to invest. Inflow of capital and development. Make Florida an attractive place for remote workers, retirees, and businesses relocating their staff, kind of like Ken Griffin is doing and some of the other guys are doing. We're going to get businesses that are going to put their folks to be in Florida.
So one of the big things that comes to mind is like, high-end homeowners are going to save massively on this, right? So, even if they did move forward, like families are having a hard time affording houses as it is. So, possibly a 10-year tax forgiveness maybe on new buyers. The idea of this, it sounds grand, but man, the more I hear about it, it's like,
And that's exciting if they do that, right? That's kind of what we're thinking about it. Now, a few things to be thinking about when it comes down to Florida. How will it be funded? He's saying, instead of us raising the sales taxes, couple ideas. 1, let's just increase tourism tax. Guess what? If you're coming in, I'm just spitballing, If you're coming in, instead of paying this much for a hotel, we're adding a tax on hotel room for people that are coming as tourists. You're gonna come and get a cab, you're gonna come and get whatever you may be, rental cars, you're gonna have a certain fee that's gonna go up. Now keep in mind, Florida, 10% of the state revenue comes from tourism. So you have to realize Disney World, Universal, Miami, Florida, Palm Beach, there's so many reasons to want to come down to Florida. Number two, higher on commercial, non-homestead. So you're elsewhere, you want to build down here,
So one of the things that comes to mind is like, tax lien and deed investing is about an opportunity arbitrage. It's an amazing way to get deals. So, my mind is always going, because we often scoop up properties before the tax auction from motivated sellers, because then sometimes you don't have to go to the auction, which is great. So, if this were to ever happen, I would imagine investors shifting their focus, maybe like code violations, special assessments, utility liens. If tax lien investing ever dies, you'd be wanting to really look into the municipal liens to maybe try to get that property, because it is a sign of a distressed property. But what we're looking at here is an initiative that seems very unlikely. And the fact that if they were to do it, it would be a nightmare to roll out. So for anybody tuning in, below this video is a mini course called the ABCs of Tax Lien and Deed Investing. And it is the most comprehensive free mini course on tax liens and deeds out there. From start to finish, how to earn up to 18% interest and buy tax deeds up to 90% below market value, along with a tax deed investing directory. So you can just call these guys up and get the lists and buy properties. And remember, when properties don't sell at an auction, they become an over-the-counter property, and you can buy them literally for the back taxes. So that is below in the description. Make sure to go and grab that. Subscribe, thumbs up if you like this stuff. Also, big shout out to the Valuetainment channel here. This is totally awesome. If you're not subscribed to him, go subscribe to him as well. I think he's got great content and making this video possible for me to comment on as well.
Residential or commercial rates, let's raise the taxes on those guys. And an entry fee, which is absolutely insane. In Canada, a lot of people here you meet from Canada, they left, they'll tell you, I had to pay an exit fee leaving Canada. What do you mean? Well, if I'm leaving Canada, if I want to take my money out of Canada, I got to pay an exit fee. A couple years ago, California noticed how many people were leaving. And so they said, we got to figure out a way that if you leave California, you go to Nevada, you sell your business for $100 million. 2 years later, you decide to come back to California. Wait a minute, you got to pay that 13.3% that you saved out of $100 million. You owe that 13.3 million back to us. Something like that, except here is an entry fee. You want to leave New York to come here, you got to pay us. He's going to have a lot of issues there legally to get that passed. He's a lawyer himself. He knows this one's going to be tricky, but again, he's going to be pushing the envelope for that. So let's stay on this, because there's something that we're
So I think a big thing here is with DeSantis being a lawyer, he knows what he's talking about. So if he's going after, he's not just some random person who got elected into office who's just kind of saying the basic things like we need to lower taxes, all that sort of stuff. He has the legal background to be able to package and present this in a way, but and maybe he wants to be remembered for the person who started the initiative, and in 200 years, maybe this does happen. But for now, it's just not seeming very, very likely.
Thinking about here, I love the fact that he is constantly thinking about innovative ways of making a state better, okay? Constantly pushing the envelope. What if we do this? What if we do that? I like staying there. I'd like to propose something if we're thinking about Florida. This is the issue. These two charts tell a story, and this is a concern in America today. People over 70 years old have steadily increased their gap on wealth. So if you think about from 1989 till today, corporate equities and mutual fund shares, it was at 20%, now they're at 38%. Assets, roughly 20%, now they're up 35%. Real estate, 18%, they're at 28%, give or take. And then home mortgages, you see what that's looking like. Now look at the people under the age of 40. They've lost ground.
So this is a big one when it comes to millennials and the situation a lot of folks are in. Like, millennials are struggling, and they kind of get a bad rap from the boomers as far as, you got to work harder, put in the elbow grease. And in many ways, the boomers were given a hand that is way better than the millennials. And this really brings up the bigger topic of, if you're watching this as a millennial or somebody or a Gen Z, depending on whatever age you're at, you need money for retirement. And you need a vehicle and a tool to do it. So that's why we talk about tax deed investing, to buy some of these cheap properties, to flip them, and to be able to kind of level out the playing field and have an advantage in a playing field that has most people at a massive disadvantage.
In housing and financial assets, look at mutual funds and equities, it's gone down. Look at assets, it's gone down. Look at real estate, it's gone down. Look at home mortgages, it's gone down. So the youth, where you're hearing the main issue right now being affordability, they're saying, hey man, can you make it a way where I can afford to live in your state? We gotta be thinking about affordability. This chart shows how buying a home in 1985 versus 2025, roughly same age at the time, you're making the same life-changing decisions. Let's get married, let's have a kid, let's buy a house, right? When boomers had to make that decision back then, the average household income was $23,620. The median household income was $23,620, but the median home price was $83,200, which this right here, the math on this, if you think about the math on this is 3.5x your income to the house you were buying. Now, millennials, median income $74,000, median house $468,000. Do you know for them, this is 6x of what they gotta pay for their income they're making. They're sitting there saying, I can't afford to do this. That is too much money for me. By the way, property tax, full disclosure. We were just on right now, I called my wife, what are we paying this year in property tax in a home we live? You know what our property tax is? $350,000 is what we have to pay for 2025 property tax.
So that's a big one. If this kicks in, definitely the wealthy will benefit. You know, he'd be saving over $3.5 million per year if this were to kick in. But I think the big thing is that, you know, normal folks don't understand that you can't just, you know, get rid of property taxes with the strike of a pen. It just doesn't work that way. And although it, you know, it sounds appealing and, you know, everybody would love that and you could probably rally a lot of support around it, to reshape the landscape of this is going to be very, very difficult. To get this passed, honestly, I don't think there's any way he's going to be able to get this passed in full. And then implementation of this is going to be an absolute nightmare. But, you know, touching on the fact of the gap of, you know, the cost of homes versus income, the average person is just getting so squeezed. You know, they're loyal to a broken financial system. You know, back in the day, you could go to college, go to university, get a good job, and have the dream of buying a house. But it's really the boomers who got that wave. And if you're a boomer watching this, that's great. You know, history changes all the time. And that's the world that we live in. But the cool thing of where we live today is we have so many tools at our fingertips. You know, we have AI, we have tax lien and deed investing. So for you guys, you know, the best time to start in real estate was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. There are so many amazing tools, and Florida is a great place for tax deed investing, and I actually don't see that changing, and I really don't see that rolling out. You know, you look at in New York, if anything, tax deeds could get better out there if taxes go up. And one of the things I always say is the tax deed business is good when the economy is bad, and it's good when the economy is good. If you can get a property even 50% below market value, you're going to be in good shape and be able to make money. And there really is a starting point for everybody to get into this business. So that's why I am a big fan of it. It changed my life many years ago, working as a miserable oil rig worker, and here we are today, commenting on YouTube videos. If you were to tell my young oil rig worker that, he wouldn't believe it.
I don't think we shouldn't pay right now, because if they cut this, it benefits a guy like me. We need that $61 billion revenue for the state. Can you imagine? I'm telling you that I don't want to cut that. Why? This is how I would think about it. If I'm looking at the state, here's where I would go. Stay with me so this kind of makes sense to you. I would look at it from two places. Okay, possible solution. Of course, I understand the governor is talking about more Homestead people not paying property taxes. Those are people that live here, not people that are not living here. We know the difference, 18 to $20 million. On the other side is 40 to $43 billion of tax revenue that's coming in. Let's take the Homestead and make this possible to do so. What if the governor did the following? What if it became no taxes on homes under $1 million to help younger families? Let's just say husband and wife want to get married, they're 32 years old, they want to have 2 kids. They buy a $700,000 house. They don't pay any taxes. They're first-time buyers. Give them 10 years of not having to pay property taxes. I just became a homeowner. I just bought my first house. Give me a run rate. First 10 years, no.
So the rest of the video goes through just some different scenarios where this could work, right? Where, okay, hey, If you're buying a house under $1 million to help the first-time home buyers, there's lots of nuances. If you own a house over, X amount of dollars, or if it's paid for, why should you have to pay taxes on something that's paid for? When you buy a car, you don't necessarily, or you don't pay taxes once it's paid off. It's paid off. So why is real estate like that as well? So they go into, some different ideas as far as partial implementations and pivots and things like that to perhaps pull this off. So when it comes to this actually happening, I think it's going to be a pretty big uphill battle. Now, will there be some rollouts as far as, maybe one county elects to go forward with it? But remember, there's entire infrastructures built around this. So for the county and the municipal governments to buy into it, there's going to have to be a bigger what's in it for me situation, right? Because these people who work in the local county government, their salaries, their wages, their raises, their retirement is tied to these property taxes. So in my honest opinion, I've been doing, tax deeds for 22 years now. This is something that's come up. I think it's fascinating. We should keep a pulse on it. And from here, the time for you to get started with tax deeds is right now. This is an amazing alternative investment vehicle to get into. If you go on Zillow, properties hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can buy tax deeds sometimes for a few $100s. You can get property up to 90% below market value. Tax liens are safe, secure, predictable. You can earn up to 18 to sometimes 36%. They are backed by real estate and collateral. So I highly recommend you get started. And I want to thank Valuetainment for making such an amazing video, for giving me the pleasure of watching, and the quality that they put out is something that I'm going to strive towards as well. And at the end of the day, I never set out to be a YouTuber, and it just is fun, and I'm honored that you guys take the time to watch this stuff. So if you like it, do me a favor, thumbs up, subscribe. Remember, below this video is the ABCs of tax lien and deed investing. This will show you how to get started today. Some folks watch this and literally get deals within a few days, dirt cheap, and then we have both the National Tax Lien and Deed directory below. So you can grab that in the description below. Our site, Tax Lien School, has tons of free articles, and our goal is to provide the most information to the tax lien and deed community. So on that note, thanks for tuning in. Valuetainment, thanks for this amazing video, and it's been fun commenting on it as a tax deed investor. We'll see you soon.